Have you ever found yourself sitting alone wondering if something's wrong? Because you're not surrounded by people. Maybe you scrolled through social media, seeing countless photos of friends, gathering couples, celebrating, and felt that twinge in your heart, that whisper asking, why am I alone? Take a deep breath with me right now. In this moment, I want you to realize something powerful. The most important relationship you'll ever have isn't with another person, it's with yourself. And today we're going to embark on a journey that will transform how you see your own company. Think about a master artist standing before a blank canvas. Nobody's watching, nobody's giving input. It's just the artist and endless possibilities. That solitude isn't emptiness, it's opportunity. Your life is that canvas, and you're both the artist and the masterpiece. You see, most people run from solitude. They fill every moment with noise, with distractions, with other people's voices. But what if I told you that the very moments you're trying to escape are the ones that could elevate your entire existence? What if that quiet space you've been avoiding is actually your launching pad to greatness? I remember meeting Sarah, a young woman who came to me after her divorce. She was devastated, not just because of the end of her marriage, but because she'd forgotten who she was outside of being someone's wife. All how to be alone, she said, tears streaming down her face. But here's what's beautiful. 2 years later, she didn't just learn to be alone, she discovered parts of herself she never knew existed. She started a business, learned 3 languages, and most importantly, she found joy in her own presence. You see, there's a profound difference between being lonely and being alone. Loneliness is the painful awareness, being disconnected, but solitude, true embrace. Solitude is the playground of self-discovery. It's where miracles happen, where dreams take shape, where your authentic self emerges from behind the mask you've worn for others. When you start to embrace solitude, something magical happens. You begin to hear your own thoughts clearly, without the static of others' expectations. You start to understand that being alone doesn't means something's missing. It means you're complete enough to be your own company. When was the last time you took yourself out to dinner, not because you had to, but because you wanted to celebrate yourself? When did you last sit in a park feeling the breeze on your face without reaching for your phone to text someone about how you're feeling? These moments of conscious solitude are like spiritual vitamins for your soul. They strengthen your inner core, build your emotional muscles, and prepare you for life's greatest adventures. Because here's the truth: you cannot pour from an empty cup, and you cannot truly connect with others until you've connected with yourself. To think about a tree standing alone on a hilltop, its roots grow deeper because it has to withstand the winds by itself. Its branches spread wider because there's no competition for sunlight. That's what embracing solitude does for you. It helps you grow stronger, reach higher, and stand firmer. But I'm not talking about isolating yourself and from the world. No, this is about building such a strong relationship with yourself that being alone becomes a choice. It's about finding such fulfillment in your own company that others become a delightful addition to your life, not a desperate need to fill a void. You might be thinking, but what about all those studies that say humans need connection? And you're right, we do need connection. But the strongest connections come from people who have first connected with themselves. When you learn to be happy alone, you stop accepting relationships that drain you. You stop settling for less than you deserve. You start attracting people who match your energy, who add to your peace, who celebrate your independence. Let me share something powerful with you. Every great leader, every person who's made a significant impact in this world had to first become comfortable with being alone with their thoughts, their vision, their purpose. Moses spent 40 days alone on the mountain. Great inventors spent countless hours in solitude perfecting their craft. Your moments of solitude aren't punishment, they the start seeing your alone time is sacred. These aren't empty hours to be filled, there are opportunities to be seized. When you're alone, you can dream without judgment, plan without interference, and grow without pressure. You can try new things without fear or failure. Dance like nobody's watching, because truly nobody is, and have conversations with your higher self that will guide you to your destiny. Today, I want you to make a promise to yourself. Promise that you'll stop treating solitude like a sentence and start seeing it as a sanctuary. Promise that you'll begin exploring the magnificent universe that exists within you. Promise that you'll start investing in the relationship that will impact every other relationship in your life, the one with yourself. Because here's what I know for certain: when you learn to be happy alone, you become unstoppable together. When you find peace and solitude, you bring peace to every room you enter. When you fall in love with your own company, you become the kind of person others love to be around. This journey of embracing solitude isn't always easy. There will be moments when the silence feels too loud, when the emptiness seems too vast. But push through those moments, because on the other side of that discomfort is a level of self-awareness and personal power that will transform every aspect of your life. Start small. Begin with 5 minutes of intentional solitude each day. No phone, no TV, no distractions, just you, your thoughts, and infinite possibilities. Let those 5 minutes grow into 10, then 20, then an hour. Watch how your relationship with yourself deepens, how your intuition strengthens, how your inner peace expands. Remember, being alone doesn't mean being lonely. Being single doesn't mean being incomplete. Being by yourself doesn't mean being without love, because when you truly embrace solitude, you discover that you carry within you everything you need to be happy, whole, and you are not waiting for life to begin. This moment right now is your life, and in this moment you have the power to transform your relationship with solitude from one of fear to one of freedom, from emptiness to abundance, from loneliness to self-love. The world needs people who have they found their sinner, who know their worth, who bring peace instead of seeking it. And that journey begins in the quiet moments, in the sacred space of solitude, and the powerful practice of learning to be happy alone. As we continue this journey together, I want you to hold on to this truth: your alone time is not empty space to be filled. It's fertile ground where your future self is taking root. And in our next moments together, we're going to explore how this solitude connects you to something even greater than yourself, a divine purpose that's been waiting for you to discover it. And that divine purpose, I mentioned, it's woven into the very fabric of your alone moments. You see, when we embrace solitude, something extraordinary begins to unfold. A connection so profound, so powerful, that it transforms every aspect of our existence. Raise your hand if you've ever felt a DST stirring in your spirit, a whisper in your soul that there's something more, something greater calling you. That stirring isn't just emotion. It's divine connection reaching out to you in your moments of solitude. You know I've noticed something remarkable about palm trees during storms while other trees bend and break. Palm trees sway and strengthen. Why? Because each palm tree stands alone, developing its own deep root system. That's exactly what happens when you embrace solitude with spiritual intention. You develop roots that weather any storm. In these sacred moments of solitude, you're not just alone, you're in the presence of infinite possibility. Think about it. Every great spiritual awakening, every divine revelation throughout history didn't happen in a crowd, it happened in moments of solitude. Moses on the mountain, Jesus in the desert, Buddha under the body tree. They all found their greatest spiritual strength when they embraced being alone. But this isn't about religion, it's about connection. Connection to that still small voice inside you that knows your true worth. Connection to that power that's bigger than any challenge you face. Connection to the divine spark that's been within you all along, waiting for you to notice it. When you start seeing your alone time a spiritual time, everything shifts. That empty apartment becomes a sanctuary. That quiet morning becomes a cathedral. That solo walk becomes a pilgrimage. Every moment alone becomes an opportunity to build your spiritual muscles, to strengthen your divine connection. Let me share something powerful with you. There's a difference between being lonely and being alone. Loneliness is a feeling of disconnection, but solitude is where you find your deepest connection. It's where you discover that you're never really alone, because you're connected to something greater than yourself. I remember working with Michael, a successful executive who had everything on paper: the corner office, the luxury car, the expensive suits, but he felt empty inside. I'm surrounded by people all day, he told me, but I feel more alone than ever. What Michael discovered was that his spiritual emptiness couldn't be filled by external success. It was only when he learned to embrace solitude, to sit quietly with himself and connect to his higher purpose, that he found true fulfillment. Your alone time is your charging station, just like your phone needs quiet time plugged into its power source. Your spirit needs quiet time connected to its divine source. This is where you download wisdom, upload your prayers, and sync your spirit with your purpose. Take a deep breath with me right now. Feel that that's not just air filling your lungs, that's life force, divine energy flowing through you. In your solitude, you can tap into this power anytime. You don't need special words or rituals, you just need to be present, be still, and be open to receiving. Building inner peace isn't about eliminating all external noise. It's about creating such a strong internal harmony that external noise doesn't disturb your sin. It's about developing what I call your spiritual backbone, that inner strength that keeps you standing tall when life tries to knock you down. You start your day with 5 minutes of sacred solitude before you check your phone, before you turn on the TV, before you let the world in. Connect with your spirit. Let your first conversation of the day be with your higher self. Watch how this simple practice begins to transform your entire day. As you develop this spiritual strength and solitude, you'll notice something amazing. Your self-awareness grows exponentially. You start to recognize the difference between your true self and the self you created for others. You begin to hear your authentic voice above the noise of society's expectations. This heightened self-awareness becomes your superpower. You'll walk into rooms and immediately know if they align with your spirit. You'll enter relationships with clarity about who you are and what you bring to The table you'll make decisions not from fear or pressure, but from a place of divine guidance. Remember, self-awareness isn't self-judgment, it's loving observation of your thoughts, feelings, and actions in your solitude practice. Watching your thoughts like clouds passing in the sky, no judgment, just awareness. This is how you build the kind of inner peace that no external circumstance can. Your spiritual strength. Inner peace and self-awareness are like three strands of a rope. When woven together in solitude, they create an unbreakable connection to your divine purpose. This is the kind of strength that turns trials into testimonies, obstacles into opportunities, and setbacks into setups for comebacks. But think about a diamond is formed in complete isolation under an intense pressure and total darkness, but what emerges is one of the most valuable, most brilliant things on earth. That's what happens in your seasons of solitude. You're not being buried, you're being formed into something priceless. As we move forward, I want you to start seeing your alone time differently. Don't rush to fill it with noise. Don't run from the silence. Embrace it, explore it, allow it to become your pathway to power, your bridge to brilliance. Because when you truly embrace your own company, when you develop this divine connection in solitude, something miraculous happens. You begin to understand that you were never meant to just survive alone. You were meant to thrive alone. You were created to shine so brightly in your solitude that others would be drawn on to the light within you. And as we continue this journey together, we're going to discover how this divine connection you've built in solitude becomes the foundation for a season of unprecedented personal growth, a season where every moment alone becomes a moment of transformation, where your solitude becomes your stepping stone to significance. Are you ready to dive deeper into this season of personal growth? Are you prepared to see how your spiritual strength, inner peace, and self-awareness can catapult you into your destiny? Because that's exactly where we're heading next, on into the season where your solitude becomes your springboard to success. Now that you discovered that divine connection within your solitude, let's talk about something extraordinary, the season of growth that's already blooming in your life. Right now, in this very moment, you're standing at the edge of your greatest transformation. How many of you have ever looked at a seed and seen a forest? That's exactly what your season of solitude is. It's not just empty space. It's ground. Every moment you spend alone is a seed being planted in the garden of your future success. You see, there's a rhythm to personal growth, just like there's a rhythm to nature, and just as every must first grow alone, pushing through the soil and solitude, your greatest strengths are developing in these moments when it's just you facing yourself, choosing to grow. Think about a butterfly in its cocoon. Nobody's there to witness the transformation. Nobody's there to encourage the process. It's completely alone during its most crucial period of growth. That's not a coincidence. That's a divine BL. I want to share something powerful with you about strength. Real strength isn't about never falling. It's about rising every single time you fall, especially when no one's there to help you up. That's what solitude teaches you. When you're alone, you develop what I call your spiritual muscles, those inner resources that carry you through life's challenges. Remember David, before he faced Goliath, he spent years alone in the fields, pending sheep, practicing with his sling, writing psalms. Those weren't empty years, they were preparation years. Your solitude isn't punishment. Let me tell you about Jennifer, a single mother who lost her job during the economic downturn. She had two choices: break down or break through. She chose to use her alone time after putting her kids to bed to build an online business. My solitude became my study hall. She told me today she employs 15 people and helps other single parents find financial freedom. You see, success stories aren't written in the spotlight, they're written in solitude. They're written in those quiet moments when you choose to work on yourself instead of worrying about yourself. They're written when you decide to turn your alone time into growth time. Every successful person you admire had to first succeed in solitude. They had to learn to trust their own judgment, believe in their own vision, and push through their own doubts. That's what you're doing right now. Every time you choose to stay focused instead of feeling lonely, you're writing your success too. But let's talk about emotional independence, because this is where true power lies. Emotional independence isn't about not needing anyone. It's about not needing anyone to validate your worth. It's about becoming so secure but in who you are that other people's opinions become in. When you build emotional independence, you stop making decisions based on fear of being alone. You start making decisions based on alignment with your purpose. You stop accepting relationships that drain you because you're afraid of solitude. You start choosing relationships that enhance the amazing life you've already created. Take out your phone right now. Look at your reflection in the dark screen. That person looking back at you, that's who you need to fall in love with first. That's who you need to trust first. That's who you need to believe in first. Because when you do, something magical happens. You start attracting people who love, trust, and believe in you too. Your alone time is your laboratory for life. It's where you experiment with new thoughts. You try on new beliefs and test new behaviors. There's no audience to impress, no critics to please, just you and your potential stretching into infinity. Corey, start treating your solitude like a sacred classroom. Every morning ask yourself, what can I learn today that will make me stronger tomorrow? Every evening reflect, how did I grow today? What did I discover about these questions turn your own time into growth time. You know what's beautiful about personal growth in solitude? To nobody can take it from you. Nobody can diminish it. Nobody can question it, because you didn't grow for their applause. You grew for your own evolution. For create daily success ritual in your solitude. Maybe it's reading empowering books for 30 minutes. Maybe it's journaling your victories, no matter how small. Maybe it's practicing your craft when no one's watching. These private victories become public success. Your emotional independence is like a muscle. It grows stronger with every challenge you face alone. Every time you comfort yourself through disappointment. Every time you celebrate your own wins. Every time you choose your own path despite pressure to conform. You're building that muscle. Oh, think about water in its soft flowing state. It can be contained, directed, even stopped. But when it stands alone, when it becomes ice, it's unstoppable. It can split rocks, move mountains, carve valleys. That's what happening in your solitude. You're becoming unstoppable. I want you to start seeing your growth season differently. These quiet moments aren't empty spaces between activities. They're the foundation of everything you're becoming. Your solitude isn't the absence of connection, it's the presence of self-connection. The deepest connection you'll ever need as you embrace this season of growth. Remember, the oak tree doesn't grow because it Wants to reach the sky, it grows because that's what oak trees do your growth in. Solitude isn't about proving anything to anyone, it's about becoming who you were always meant to be. And as we move forward, as we step into the next phase of our journey together, we're going to discover how all this growth, all this strength, all this emotional independence creates something beautiful. It creates joy, not the fleeting happiness that comes from external circumstances, but the deep abiding joy that comes from being perfectly content in your own presence. Are you ready to discover how to manifest that joy in your solitude? Are you prepared to see how all this growth blooms into happiness that no one can shake? Because that's where we're heading next, into the garden of joy that you've been cultivating all along, perhaps without even knowing it, and that we've cultivated strength and solitude and embrace personal growth. Let's unlock the most beautiful secret of being alone, discovering pure, unshakable joy. When was the last time you smiled simply because you were happy being with your? That's the kind of joy we're about to create together. If you're sitting in your favorite spot, maybe it's a cozy corner of your home, or perhaps it's a quiet cafe, you're completely alone, and instead of reaching for your phone or looking around nervously, you feel a warm smile spreading across your face. That's not just happiness, and that's joy and solitude, and it's available to you right now. Let me share something powerful with you. Joy isn't found, it's created. It's built one moment at a time, one choice at a time, one victory at a time. And the beautiful thing about creating joy and solitude, you don't need anyone's permission to be happy. You don't need to wait for the perfect circumstances. You just need to decide right now that you're going to be the architect of your own happiness. I want you to think about what I call your joy inventory. These are the little things that light you up inside. Maybe it's the way sunlight streams through your window in the morning. Maybe it's the first sip of your favorite tea. Maybe it's the sound of rain on your roof. Start collecting these moments like precious GY, because they're the building blocks of your solo happiness. You know what's fascinating? Research shows that people who learn to enjoy their own company actually experience more satisfaction in their relationships. Why? Because they're not coming from a place of emotional hunger. They're coming from a place of emotional abundance. Let me tell you about Marcus, a client who transformed his life by mastering the art of joy. Every evening he started what he called his victory lab, writing down 3 things he accomplished that day. Made my bed with hospital corners, sent that difficult email, cooked a healthy meal. At first it felt awkward, even silly, but after 30 days he noticed something remarkable. He wasn't just noting victories, he was creating them intentionally throughout his day. This is where practical steps come into play. You start your day with what I call a joy intention. Before your feet hit the floor, decide one thing you'll do today just to make yourself smile. Maybe it's wearing your favorite outfit for no special occasion. Maybe it's taking a different route to work to see something new. Maybe it's treating yourself to lunch at that cafe you've been create daily rituals that celebrate your relationship with yourself. Try this every evening. Have a proper date with yourself. Set the table nicely, even when eating alone. Light a candle. Treat yourself with the same respect and attention you give to someone you deeply care about, because you should deeply care about yourself. Here's a powerful truth: the way you spend your alone time sets the tone for every other aspect of your life. When You learn to create joy and solitude. You stop accepting joyless situations in your relationships, your career, and your daily life. You develop what I call your joy compass, an inner guidance system that naturally steers you toward what lights you up. Let's talk about personal achievements. The society often teaches us to wait for external validation, but what if you became your own biggest cheerleader? Start keeping a victory journal every night. Write down one thing you did that made you proud. It doesn't have to be climbing Mount Everest. Maybe you finally organized that drawer, or spoke up in a meeting, or chose water instead of soda. Create celebration rituals for yourself. Did you finish a project at work? Ank yourself on a reward. Walking nature. Did you stick to your exercise routine all week? Have a spa day at home. Did you handle a difficult situation with GR? Write yourself a congratulatory letter. These aren't just activities, they're investments in your relationship with yourself. You know what's beautiful about celebrating your achievements and solitude? There's no need to downplay your joy to make others comfortable. There's no need to minimize your success to seem humble. You can be fully, radiantly happy about your accomplishments without worrying about anyone else's reaction. Start what I call joy collecting throughout your day. Mentally photograph moments that bring you peace or pleasure, the way your coffee swirls when you stir it, the satisfaction of making your bed perfectly, the achievement of completing your workout. These aren't just moments. They're evidence that joy is available everywhere, especially in solitude, that transform your living space into a joy sanctuary. Every room should have at least one thing that makes you smile just by looking at it. Maybe it's a photo of your proudest moment, a small plant you're nurturing, or a quote that inspires you. Your environment should remind you that you're worthy of joy, even when, especially when I practice what I call joy breathing. When you notice something beautiful or accomplish something meaningful, take a deep breath and imagine pulling that joy into every cell of your body. Let it become part of who you are. This isn't just visualization, it's joy incarnation. Remember this: joy and solitude isn't about being happy all the time. It's about creating a foundation of contentment that supports you through all emotions. It's about building such a strong relationship with yourself that even on difficult days, you know joy will return, because you're the one creating it. Start seeing yourself as the joy generator in your life. You're not waiting for happiness to arrive. You're actively creating it moment by moment, choice by choice. Every time you choose to celebrate yourself, every time you acknowledge your own growth, every time you create a moment of beauty in your solitude, you're strengthening your joy muscles. And as we continue this journey together, we're going to see how this joy you're creating in solitude begins to overflow into every area of your life. How it transforms not just your alone time, but your entire existence. You know how it becomes the foundation for something even more powerful. You unshakable confidence and magnetic presence. Are you ready to discover how your joy in solitude can become your superpower in the world? Are you prepared? Prepared to see how these personal celebrations and daily victories can catapult you into a level of confidence you've never experienced before? Because that's exactly where we're heading next. Into the realm where your inner joy becomes your outer radiance, where your solo happiness becomes your social magnetism. The seeds of joy you're planting in solitude are about to bloom into something extraordinary. Stay with me, because what comes next will transform not just how you experience your alone time, but how the entire world experiences. You take a moment right now to reflect on all that joy you've cultivated in solitude. Feel how it's changed you, strengthened you, because now we're about to harness the power to do something revolutionary. We're going to break free from the chains of social expectations that have been holding you back. What if I told you that the opinions that have shaped your life until now were never meant to be your comfort? Us that the expectations weighing on your shoulders were never yours to carry. Look around this room. How many of us have been living someone else's version of success, someone else's definition of happiness? You've been conditioned since childhood to believe that your worth is measured by others' approval, the right job title, the perfect relationship status, the ideal body type, the acceptable lifestyle. Who decided these were the standards you needed to meet? More importantly, who decided you needed to meet them? Let me share a profound truth that changed my life. The king, the moment you stop seeking validation from others is the moment you start living. It's like taking off a heavy backpack you didn't even realize you were carrying. Suddenly, you can breathe. Suddenly, you can move freely. Suddenly, you can dance to your eye. Remember working with Sarah, a successful attorney who seemed to have it all: corner office, designer wardrobe, enviable social circle. But in our private session, she confessed something striking. I've achieved everything society told me would make me happy, and I feel absolutely nothing. Sarah's breakthrough came when she finally gave herself permission to question everything she'd been taught about success. Here's the thing about dependency: it's not just about relying on others for emotional support. It's about relying on external validation to feel worthy. It's about letting society's GPS direct your life's journey instead of following your own internal compass. But you've already begun breaking free from this through your journey in solitude. Think about a lighthouse for a moment. It doesn't chase ships. It doesn't it's like wondering if it's too bright. It doesn't question its purpose. When no ships are around, it simply stands strong, shines bright, and fulfills its purpose. That's what happens when you break free from social dependency. You become your own lighthouse. Your authentic purpose isn't something you need to search for. It's something you need to uncover. It's already within you, buried under layers of SHS and must that society has piled on top. Every time you choose your own path, every time you listen to your inner voice over external noise, you're excavating your true purpose. If nobody could judge me, what would I do differently today? If success was measured by my joy instead of others' approval, what would I pursue? If I was the only person I needed to impress, what would I create? These aren't just questions, they're keys to your prison of social expectations. You know what's fascinating? When you truly break free from social dependency, you actually become more magnetic to others. People are naturally drawn to those who march to their own drum. They're attracted to the authenticity that radiates from someone who stopped trying to fit in and started standing out. Begin what I call authenticity audits. Look at every major decision in your life right now. Ask yourself, is this truly my choice, or am I doing this to meet others' expectations? Your career, your relationships, your lifestyle. Audit. Be ruthlessly honest with yourself. This isn't about judgment. Create boundaries that protect your authentic self. Learn to say no to social obligations that don't align with your values. Practice saying I choose not to Instead of I can't, the difference is. Subtle but powerful. One is an excuse, the other is a declaration of autonomy. Your journey of breaking free from dependency isn't just about you. As you liberate yourself, you become a beacon of hope for others still trapped in their own cages of social expectations. Your courage to live authentically gives other permission to do this. Your joy and solitude shows others that alone doesn't mean lonely, but start seeing yourself as a revolutionary every time you choose authenticity over approval. You're not just changing your life, you're contributing to a larger shift in consciousness. You're showing the world that there's another way to live, another way to succeed, another way to find fulfillment. Transform your self-talk from what will they think to what I think, from what should I do but what do I want to do. These aren't just changes in language, they're declarations of independence from social conditioning. Remember this: being a beacon of hope doesn't mean you have to be perfect. It means being perfectly honest about your imperfections. It means showing others that it's okay to be a work in progress, to make mistakes, to change direction, to choose yourself. Create what I call authenticity anchors in your daily life. These are non-negotiable moments where you honor your true self regardless of external pressure. Maybe it's your morning meditation, your afternoon walk, your evening of creative expression. These anchors keep you grounded in your truth when the winds of social expectations blow strong. Your purpose isn't to fit into the world, it's to stand out in exactly the way only you can. Think about a garden. If every flower tried to be a rose, we'd lose the magic of wildflowers, the grace of lies, the charm of daisies. Your uniqueness isn't a flaw to be fixed. It's a gift to be shared. As you continue to rise above social expectations, you'll notice something remarkable. The very people who once questioned your choices will start asking for your guidance. Your courage to live authentically will inspire others to examine their own lives, to question their own compromises, to seek their own truth. And as we move forward together, we're going to see how this freedom from social expectations, this embrace of your authentic purpose, this role as a beacon of hope, it all comes together to create something even more powerful, something that will not just change your life, but impact generations to come. Are you ready to discover how your individual transformation can create ripples of change in the world around you? Are you prepared to see how your personal liberation can become a catalyst for collective awakening? Because that's exactly where we're heading next, into the realm where your journey becomes a light for others, where your story becomes a bridge to possibility, where your freedom becomes an invitation for others to break free to the revolution of authenticity. You're creating your life is about to spark a movement of transformation. Stay with me, because what comes next will show you how to turn your personal victory into a victory for humanity.